Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Are you in a safe place right now? Do you work in a safe place? Do you live in a safe place? Do you travel in safe places? If you just answered yes, you're wrong. And that's what I want to talk about today. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to all of our subscribers, but particularly to the new subscribers. It's good to have you both on YouTube and on Patreon. And you folks on Patreon, so much. I never expected Patreon to even begin to get as big as it's getting. And it's really developing into a community. For those of you who aren't, I invite you to come over, welcome you to come over to the Patreon channel. I put the link right down here above the links to how you can buy my books. Yes, this is a commercial. It's not so much as a commercial as sharing with you how you can get information about this stuff. So for the one bozo that says, you just talk about your books. That's right, bozo, because I wrote them, and I wrote them for people to buy so that they would enjoy them and learn from them. Thank you very much. But anyway, if you're not over on Patreon, I invite you to come over. I cover a lot of stuff over there that I can't cover on YouTube, and in the way that things are going today and in this environment with increased violence, because that's what I talk a lot about over there. Violence, handling violence, being ready for violence, delivering violence, living under oppression, those kinds of things. I reserve that for the Patreon channel because it will not be promoted on YouTube. It will simply be wasted. And so if you are interested in that, and you should be, please come join us on Patreon. Also, we have just we've got such a group over there with such a wide and deep knowledge base, in addition to my own, that can answer questions that I can't, to be quite honest, especially on the science of EMP and CME and all that. We got some guys. If you want to get deep into some of these subjects, you can get into it over there. So we welcome you and look forward to seeing you if you come. Safe places. Safe places. Where is a safe place? I've never known of a safe place except when I thought I was in my own mama and daddy's arms, right? And that's only because I didn't realize what was going on in the world around me. I'm going to tell a short story. I'm going to keep it brief because I've told it before. And so those of you who have heard it before, I won't make you wait through the long telling of it. But for the new people, I had a friend of mine. It's been a few years ago. He was a former prosecutor, so he should have known about, the ways of the world. Now, granted, he was a prosecutor from a smaller county, so it wasn't like a city, but still, bad things happen in small towns and things as well. But that's probably had a lot to do with what he thought. He felt secure in the area from which he came, and he didn't have a gun. And I talked to him, and I tried to convince him to buy a gun, to have a gun. This went on for a couple of 3 years. He's a very intelligent guy. Love talking to him. He's like a brother to me. This is just one area where we weren't seeing exactly eye to eye, and it's because of our backgrounds, right? He hardly ever saw anything bad, and I almost never saw anything good in my career. And so those were the positions we were coming from. After a couple of years, to where he resisted, and every time I'd see him, I'd mention to him the latest shooting, the latest this, the latest that. And finally, after a couple of years, he admitted to me, and he said, Steve, I think the thing is I just don't want to admit that I live in a world where that's necessary. And this highly intelligent man could not reason himself into realizing that it is a dangerous world, and that he is responsible for his own safety and security and his kids and his wife because his feelings got in the way. We deal with that with so many people. I'm sure that many of you, if not most of you, carry, and I know many of you don't, because I've seen over the comments in the last couple of videos where several people have said, you got me thinking about carrying. Good. I'm happy about that. The realities are, and this is nothing new. I mean, way back when I was still on the department, back in the 70s when I was still in uniform, I would tell people, the police aren't there. They can't stop things as much as we would like to. And we were raring to go. It was a dream come true when we were able to roll up on the middle of something and dispense some justice to a bad guy. We lived for that. But the thing is, it's a matter of timing. It's a matter of numbers. It all depends on, the times that I rolled up in the middle of something and was able to have a direct influence on the outcome of that situation was, probably less than on two hands. For the most part, police are responsive. They're responsive to the phone call and the dispatch, and they'll get there after it's over. And that's what I would tell people. I love trying to catch something in progress, but more often the police get there after a mess has been made. They try to patch up the mess, or call the medics, or call the fire department, whatever, and then try to find out who did it, and they refer it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor decides whether he wants to go farther with it, and then maybe he does, and maybe he doesn't, and then if he does, he refers it back, and we issue a warrant, and we serve the warrant, we arrest the dirtbag, and then we take him to court, and then the jury decides whether they, it's just on and on and on. This is not justice. There's an old saying that, justice delayed is justice denied. This is why none of the criminals are afraid of the justice system. They're not afraid of the justice system. They're not afraid of going to jail. All their friends are there. They do better in prison than they do outside because they can take long showers and lift weights and not really have any responsibility. But, they're little inside politics. What they have to be afraid of is meeting up with somebody else who is ready for them. That's the only thing that suppresses crime. I put up, there's a couple of good quotes, and I've put one of them up on one by Reagan over on the Patreon channel. There's a lot of good quotes. The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Jeff Cooper had a saying, that they have to learn to fear, the perpetrators have to learn to fear the victim, or I would say intended victim, because, if you're not the victim if you come out on top. So there's a lot of those good sayings. Back in the day, we were able to operate in such a way that the dirtbags were actually afraid of us because they knew that we were watching and that we would unleash what on them if we caught them doing something. Nowadays, they're not afraid. They're not afraid of the police. They're not afraid of, because they have an entire society who has enabled them, who has promoted them in this antisocial behavior, who has even celebrated them. The thug culture, the gangster culture. It's no longer, even back in the 70s and 80s, guys that went around blazing with guns weren't particularly held up in any esteem. Now, man, it's an entire culture, and that's different. Even back when I was younger, there were no safe places, and I think that's what people need to understand. Even if we felt as if we were safe, it was because of luck, placement, and timing. And you could say, well, you just said there was no safe place, but you're talking about placement. Well, it's just a matter of luck. Nothing happened to happen there, but anything could have at any time, as we occasionally, rarely saw back in the old days. Now we're seeing it all the time. It doesn't matter whether you go to school, whether you go to work, whether you go to a doctor's appointment. These things can erupt anywhere, at any time, against anyone. That's what you have to keep in mind. Now, how do we stop this? There's no stopping this right now. There is no stopping this because the culture has developed in such a way that it, first off, as I said, celebrates a lot of this. Secondly, doesn't take a harsh stand on it. And by that, I don't mean gun control. They've set it up so that more and more of these horrific shootings will happen because of the designation of firearms-free zones or gun-free zones. It's, only idiots don't understand that that's a magnet for shooters. Only idiots. And so you have to wonder, are these people really that stupid? Or is this a plan? And by talking to so many of them, they really are that stupid. The people who are in charge of making these decisions really are that stupid, and we have to accept that and understand it. Now, the people up on the top level, they're not stupid. They are not stupid. They put forth these policies to get the results that they want, which is what they're getting now. So as to be able to, what they want to do. They want more control. They want to disarm the population. But all of the little people beneath them, all the school administrators, all the hospital administrators, all the bosses, all the teachers, all the nurses, all the doctors, everybody. And I'm not singling out those particular professions. I had a neighbor of mine walk by the other day to say hi, and he's in a totally different thing, but he's just as clueless. Okay, just as clueless. He thinks the world is a nice place and we just need fewer guns. Well, we had a discussion about it. Never let an opportunity go to waste. We need to kind of, the other side says never let a crisis go to waste. We need to flip that and say we shouldn't let a crisis go to waste either, because it gives us the opportunity to promote our position and our truth and battle their ignorance and their lies with our truth and experience. That's what we have to do. So the problem is we have so many ignorant people. They're just stupid, and they don't take it upon themselves to learn. They don't, because they think they already know the truth. They don't want to put any mental effort into learning anything else. And that's why we have to be more vocal. We have to take our message out there and more forcefully represent the truth, because that's the only thing that's going to make this world safer. There are too many people out there that think that they have a right to be safe. And if you've ever done it, you know the looks on their face, because I see it when I say it, when I look to them, and I just look them in the eye and say, you have no right to be safe. And they're just like shocked, right? What? What do you mean? Whoever told you you had the right to be safe? The world is a dangerous place. It always has been. The world was a dangerous place before there were guns. The world was a dangerous place before there were ARs. Because not that many are used to hurt people, right? More rocks than sticks are. So there is no right, as I explained to them, to be safe. Because a right that an individual has does not include with it an active participation or even a negative participation on someone else. Okay? It doesn't say you have a right to be safe, therefore that person cannot hurt you. Okay. Now we have laws against if he does. Okay. But show me a law that stops it from happening. It can't. Except for the hand of God, nothing is going to stop somebody who wants to hurt you, except their fear of what's going to happen if they try. Now, they're not afraid of the police anymore. They're not afraid of the courts. They're not afraid of jail. They're not afraid of prison. They have to be afraid of you. And even if they're not, because they don't know that they should be afraid of you, and that might invite, and I talked about the difference, I might have done it over on Patreon, the difference between predators and prey. You know, predators hardly ever attack other predators because they recognize them. Most people are not predators. And so they go around and the predator can recognize, okay, that he's an easy mark, I'm gonna try him, okay? You get two guys filling up their cars late at night at a gas station. One is obviously a predator and one's not. Guess who's going to get taken down? Now the other guy might be, I know, gray man, you know. The other guy might be proficient and just not look like it. But you see, that invites attack if you don't look like you're ready and willing and even eager sometimes for it. But people don't have that demeanor, and most people don't want to, and I understand that. But what happens if that comes? You have to be ready to deal with it. You have to be ready to deal with it because the police aren't going to be there. And nobody else is probably going to step up. You can't assume. Now, occasionally we know that concealed carry, occasionally will step in and help somebody. You shouldn't. There's no reason for you to expect that. Now, I know I am talking to some of you. I know that a lot of you I'm not talking to, and so I'm saying this. Please pass this on to other people that you think may need to hear this. You have no reason to expect that somebody else is going to step in and help you and save you and your kids and or anybody else. It's up to you. It's up to you. And so I think that's what people need to get their heads around. There are no safe places in this world. There really never have been. But, it doesn't matter. I mean, out on the prairie, miles from anybody, still, attack. I can't even say what kind of person attacked because that would be insensitive, right? Attack. Nobody's there to help, right? Nobody. But even more so now, because violence has been on the rise. For whatever reason, we can talk about that another time. Violence is on the rise, and it's continue to be on the rise. So there are no safe places. You're not safe at work. You're not safe at the store. You're not safe at the doctor's office. You're not safe driving down the street. And you're not safe at home. And if you think you are, just read up on some of the home invasions. And after you read the details, and you get sick to your stomach and can't sleep at night, you'll start carrying 3 guns while you're sitting in your chair watching TV. See, the thing is that, again, it's a matter of understanding and accepting the truth of the world. The truth is it's full of bad people who, given the chance, will attack you and take whatever they want from you, whether that's your property, your dignity, or your life, or your family. And they will do it unless you're able to stop them. You have to be able to stop them. That means that you have the tools and the skills and the will to stop them. I'm sure this isn't the end of this. It's never the end of it. There's always more. Okay. So give that some thought, please. Pass this on to people you may know who may need to hear it. Feel free. Somebody asked me the other day, can I share this? Feel free to share any of my videos. Matter of fact, I encourage you to. I wish you would. Share it with everybody that you think it can help, or anybody you think it might tick off. Let them hate me. So keep that in mind. Do come over, for those of you who are interested in learning more and really getting into more depth on a lot of these things. Join us on Patreon. The link is down there. We're dealing with 2 kind of extreme threats here. We're dealing with immediate threats, which we've talked about today, and we're dealing with longer term threats. And we know what those are. Supply chain and very possible food shortages. And is it a planned genocide or not? I talk about a lot of how to get ready for that in the books. I also talk about the long-term range genocide on Patreon when I talk about the Irish situation and some IRA stuff for those of you who are interested in that. And from which you can learn a lot. And you know, when I used to talk about this stuff, people said, "Why are you talking about that? That's not going to." When I talk about living under oppression, or food shortages, or what happened with the Irish genocide, some people call it a famine, and people say, "Well, that's not going to happen." Well, welcome to it, guys. Welcome to it. It looks like it's coming, right? Certainly the oppression is. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I remind you that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I hope that you'll think about this. Realize, make yourself understand there is no safe place in this world that you don't make safe for yourself. Join us on Patreon. Be a member. Contribute your thoughts, questions, whatever. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.